Here's much to do with hate, but more with love. Why then, oh brawling love, oh loving hate, oh anything of nothing first create, oh heavy lightness, serious vanity, misshapen chaos of well-seeming forms, feather of lead, bright smoke, cold fire, sick health, still waking sleep that is not what it is. This love feel I, that feel no love in this. All right. So, you know what's cool about this one? Who do you guys think Romeo is talking about here? Has anybody said anything? So this is from Romeo's first entrance in the play, and he's not talking about Juliet. He's talking about a girl called Rosaline that he's in love with. So you have this whining boy coming on going, I'm suffering because I'm in love and I'm feeling the pains of being in love. And it's not about Juliet. He has no idea who Juliet is yet. He hasn't met her yet. He meets her later at a party, right? So then the question is, the central question of the play is, what is love? And I think that is the question that is in this speech here, right? And as English learners, I mean, look at these wonderful words. They're called, what we call right, oxymorons. Basically, it's words that are in opposition to each other, right? If you say something like, like this, for instance, right here, bright smoke, how can that be? How can smoke be bright? Or cold fire, how can that be? How can fire be cold? Right? You have a noun and an adjective, but they're oxymorons. They're in opposition. Sick health. So I love this bit by Romeo because he's talking about feeling so hard, and this love so hard that he can't understand the feeling itself. Right? This love feel I, that feel no love in this. How can this be love if all I feel is pain? Isn't love supposed to be gentle? That's the central question of the play, right? And I love this because the cool thing about when you spend time with Shakespeare is that you realize that we don't have the answers, that the questions keep coming up. What is the play about? Who is the hero really? And this wonderful language here in the speech I just share with you guys, heavy lightness is just so, if you think of the iambic, this love feel light that feel no love in this. So again, perfect iambic pentameter, right? So there you go. That's some bit of Romeo and Juliet.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, are there any other questions for Rodrigo and his love with theater and all things Shakespeare?
Were his plays popular?
Ah, that's a good question.
That's a very good question. They were. So he was born in 1564 and died in 1616, aged 52. His plays were very popular. He made a lot of money. He was a big star of the stage, and one of the proofs we have that he was popular is because his name, William Shakespeare, actually appeared on the printed page, as opposed to the common practice of the time, which was they wouldn't really credit the author. It was just kind of like a play. Now remember, a play in his day was not meant for publication. It was meant for performance. So he never wrote a full play, from beginning to end in one volume and made copies of it. What he wrote the lines for each actor, and he gave the lines to the actors to go away and learn them, memorize them, and come back and rehearse. So he was not writing the whole play together and then making photocopies of it. There was no such thing. He just wrote the lines for each actor. So it was a very practical exercise of theater making. It was not about publishing plays to be read. So he was very popular, but he was so popular that some of his plays were published without his consent from people's memories because they loved them so much. But yeah, he was very popular.
Any other questions for Rodrigo before we let him go? I realize we're taking over a lot of the afternoon here, but I thank you so much for coming and talking with us today, Rod. I'm going to invite Gary to come in and say hello and thank you as well.
Yeah, thanks, Jenny, and thanks, Rod. This was fantastic. I mean, I learned so much. So it's wow, that's great. And it's very interesting, and I love the themes that you brought into this of it's okay to be confused and make mistakes, and language comes from the heart, because when I started Heartland 21 years ago, this idea of a place that's comfortable to make mistakes was at the forefront of the philosophy of starting this school. So it warms my heart to continue with the theme that's the message you're giving today. And a little anecdote that's very had some comedy, because Shakespeare is also about comedy, of course. Was that the very first instructor I hired had his master's in English literature. And I mean, I was making it up as I go and felt like I was a fraud very much, you know, in those days. And still, like you say, today, every day you do something, you have that feeling, of course. And in the interview, I asked him, and we joked about it later because he worked at Heartland for 12 years. I said, you know, you're not teaching Shakespeare here. And because I very much wanted him to understand, you know, it was an ESL environment. But clearly I was wrong 21 years ago, and we can teach Shakespeare here. So this has been a full circle. It was May 1999. So here we go, 21 years later from that first interview. When I was warning not to teach Shakespeare, I clearly had it wrong. So we always continue learning. So thank you very much for joining us today. This was fabulous.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Gary. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And you know, when we're allowed to congregate once again, I will be very happy to go there in person and actually run some exercises with them if they would like.
You're welcome anytime. You're welcome anytime.
Fantastic. I'll be there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rod. And thank you everyone for coming and enjoying this. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I always love learning something more about Shakespeare, and I appreciate Rod's performance. I've seen him perform many times, and I highly encourage anyone and everyone to go and watch Shakespeare in the Ruins. And like Rod said, I would definitely encourage everyone after this to go and watch a movie by, you know, written by Shakespeare. So Romeo and Juliet, of course. There are many, many, many popular Hollywood movies that are based on Shakespeare's plays. But there really is nothing like seeing this in person. So when we are able to do this again, please make a point of going out and watching some performances live, especially Shakespeare in the Ruins. It's quite the experience. So thank you again to Rod, and thanks everyone for joining us. We'll say goodbye and have a great weekend and enjoy the rest of your evening. And we'll see you all next week. Bye, everybody. Thank you.